There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Today, my guest is Josephine Wrightson. Hi, Josephine. I'm so glad we got to connect. I feel like we went through a lot just to have this interview today, right? Look
Very much so, and it's probably not ended yet.
Yeah. So stay tuned, guys.
Everybody has to keep the fingers crossed.
I'm definitely going to have my fingers crossed. I just want to keep everybody up to date on what happened yesterday. I'm fairly new to Zoom, and you are brand new to Zoom.
Yeah.
So I like, on my end, since I'm so new to it myself, I like to do like a little bit of a promo, for the interview that's going to happen, and go through the motions. That way I know we connect and everything is going to be, live on the day of. So yesterday, when we tried it, you had a little bit of a problem connecting, right, in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you froze, that you might freeze. Okay.
No, there's a time delay. I can hear myself.
In the beginning, this is going to be fun. In the beginning, so you couldn't get on. Then finally you got on, and then we had no audio, right?
No.
Correct. We had no audio. Then we got the audio. Everything was great. We started chatting, and then my battery died. So that was like, that was really, really funny.
And I was sat sniggering.
And you hung in there. You stayed, and it was funny to watch, because then I watched it, and you were laughing, and it was just really, really fun. But that's the fun. And we even had a little bit of a time thing going on today. But we're here now. And there was also, that's the funny part, but there was also something a little bit more serious, right? You almost thought you weren't going to be able, to make it.
Is that better?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Hi. I can see you. I feel like I could reach out and touch you. So you thought maybe today wasn't going to be like the best day, right? So tell us what happened with that.
Well, last week we went for our COVID injections. The first one here, we had the AstraZeneca one, and I was fine immediately. We had it at 12:30 in the afternoon, and then came 9 o'clock at night. I just was out for count. I was shaking and a really high fever. In fact, I was hallucinating. Now, I know I was hallucinating because Nick was watching a foreign movie and reading it, and there was nobody shouting, "Please, I don't want to be in that dungeon."
Oh my God.
And that's what I was hearing.
That's another book, right? I think we talked about that. That's another book, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. But thank goodness you're fine, right?
Yeah,
how...
It's 3 or 4 days. It's
wow.
A long process.
3 or 4 days of, you had fever, right?
Yeah.
So you had the fever for 3 or 4 days too?
I was taking paracetamol. The first night was the worst night, and then I took paracetamol for the next 2 days. But each time the paracetamol was wearing off, would start getting all hot and flustered and woozy again. So I kept it in my system, and it was a lot better with it. But no, it wasn't pleasant, but I would still advocate the injection.
Right.
I'd rather be poorly for 4 days than risk full-on COVID.
Exactly. Well, you're not alone, because I know some other people said that the first shot, at first when they got it, they thought they were fine, but then as the hours progressed, and maybe when it got more to the evening, they got very tired, they had a fever. But now all that passed, and you're here, and now we're going to talk about you and your writing and your 13 wonderful books.
Yes.
Right? 13. Lucky number 13.
We'll have to see what we had. I've yet to see the reviews for number 13 yet.
My question to you is, did you, as a youngster, did you read? Were you a reader, and were you a writer as a youngster?
Yes, very much so. I've always read.
And what type of books did you? What type of books?
Anything and everything. My hands are moving here as well. I would read Victoria Holt, Charles Dickens, all the Bronte sisters, Jane Eyre. I love. Wuthering Heights as a youngster was never my most favourite, but it was too dark. I find that is very dark as a storyline. That's more for the young adult.
Right.
I appreciated that one more as an older girl than a youngster. But I'd read anything. I'd literally, James Herbert, the horror stories, anything. It's difficult now to sit and think of what I read then to what
Right, because
I read
it's so.
now. I do read.
Far.
Yeah, I read the like traditionally published authors as well. I mean, nobody can beat Harry Potter, and I love Lord of the Rings as well. In fact, I have Lord of the Rings DVDs, which my husband and my son have bought me, but they're the extended versions as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, with the bonus footage.
Yeah.
I love bonus footage, yeah.
I watch and rewatch. Yeah, I know every single word of them, but I still watch and rewatch. I like the fantasy side of it, but I also now read more indie authors than I do traditionally published authors. I have to admit to that. There are so many out there that I've found are good.
Right. And from being in the groups and meeting them, online and stuff like that, that also, I guess, sparks your curiosity, as it does mine, to read other people's work. Because once you chat with them, or you send messages, or you see, their activity on social media, and they have a book out, it's pretty interesting to read what they like to write.
It is, and when you get to know a person, even though it's online and it's through Messenger, so it's discussion rather than actually physically meeting somebody, you do get an impression. And then when you read the books and they're not necessarily what you've imagined them to write. I mean, I read one last week and it was eye-popping. It was just, I won't repeat on the
I may know,
but it was like, oh, right, okay. Yeah, it was obviously it was erotica, that one, but it was really good and well written, but it did make your eyes pop out yet. It was brilliant.
It is surprising when you meet somebody online or you see them and then you read the work, especially if it's erotic or very detailed, or sometimes it's bloody, gory. But who knows? We could see people on the outside, but we don't know what's going on the inside.
You should never, ever judge a book by its cover.
Oh,
never.
No. Isn't that the truth? Even an actual physical book, sometimes you look at the cover and then you start reading it and you're like, holy cow, because that happened to me. A cover looked, innocent. It was around Halloween time. And then when I started flipping through the pages and reading the stories, I was like, holy Toledo. Like it was, it was a lot. It was a lot. It was great writing. Don't get me wrong. I just did not expect, from looking at the cover, what the inside was going to be like. So I totally understand what you're saying. So now, as far as you as a writer, when did you find your passion? Like when you were a kid in school, did you write a lot of stories, or was English?
Not so much in school. Young adult. I have 4 children, 2 older boys, and when they were younger, I would sit a lot after they'd gone to bed and I would write. And it was what kept me sane a lot of the times. It just focused my mind. But then life got in the way a little bit, so I didn't do it. I was talking to Beth on Beth's interview when it allowed me to actually work. The technology just doesn't like me, I'm afraid. But it was very difficult to get into any type of market at that point. It was all traditional. Self-publishing was quite frowned upon, even though a lot of the big names, especially in children's authors, were self-published. It was like they'd look down your nose a little bit. It's more acceptable these days. In fact, it's acceptable these days. So I did try the traditional route. Now, my books weren't very different to what I write now. So obviously they were main characteristics of romance, but obviously they were a little bit erotic as well. So when I sent them off, it was finding the right niche for them. And although obviously nobody took me up. Bloomsbury Publishing at the time did say, and I still have the letters, because they were like my pride, and I kept them. And
That's right.
I've had them a lot of years, and there was a couple of them that they actually said one was well written, and they thought maybe to try an agent. And the other one, I called it Constant Colours at the time. They liked the title, and they liked the opening prologue against the actual main body of the program, but it just, life got in the way, and I stopped. But right. I've got those, and then Nick was poorly and things happened, and I just suddenly thought, why not? Life's too short. And he encourages me. My girls are brilliant. So I just had to go. And it's not stopped. And I'm just, I have to slow down because I go at it. It's like elf leather for everything.
So 13 books, and how much like of a time span
2
was
years.
that? Oh,
2 years, just over 2 years.
Wow. So do you carve out, like what is your routine, or you don't really have a writing routine?
I make notes, especially, but I tend to make, although I start off with a note, I'll probably start off, I'll have an idea for a full scene. It could be anywhere within the book, beginning, middle, end, and then I'll evolve from there, or I'll find the beginning. Nothing ever, each one is different.
Right.
And I do make notes, especially now on the series, because the characters are all intertwined and I don't want to make them too alike. So I write the characteristics of each character down so that I remember. Right. Being menopausal makes you forget. I'm not really admitting to that, but anyway.
When you have a lot going on, it's hard to remember too, you know?
It is, but as far as it actually goes, I just write. I'll just write. It's just, and it's done.
So you don't like carve out, like you don't get up maybe in the morning and like make a cup of tea. Do you drink tea?
Yeah, I do drink tea. Yeah, I don't drink a lot of coffee. I like coffee, but I don't drink a lot of coffee.
I have tea right here too.
I've got lemonade.
I'm a big tea drinker. Oh, I like lemonade too. I like lemonade.
I've got lemonade.
Tasty. So now you have a series you were just talking about, right?
Mm.
And
yeah.
So how many books right now are in that series?
I have a series of 4, but 5 and 6 are on the go as well.
Oh, wow. So you have 2 stories going at once.
I've got lots of open ones. I've probably got 4 open ones.
Wow.
What happened was, with my series, we moved in September, and my series was going great at that point. But because we moved, and I was on the 4th, I just published the 4th as we moved, I thought I'll put that down for a little while, because otherwise I will forget who's doing what and who's with whom, and I don't want to make it miss something. I'd get it wrong. So while we moved, I put that down. But in the meantime, I started something else. Now that something else was something that I hadn't tried before. That was the one that you read, actually.
Yes.
And I really got into that. So that ended up being 2 books. And now I have a spin-off of the series for that one as well. So although I'm working on that one, I also need to finish the other series. And there's 2 more books should finish it. I brought a new character in, so I have to finish, put them all to bed, basically.
Right.
So they all get their end. I have another the original series that I did. It was one, I hand wrote it all, and it was like 3 or 4 books long, A4 books.
Wow.
But that's made 3 good sized books. But the way I finished that, my ladies and my readers don't like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't like. They do. They like the books, and they
Yeah. I know you get a lot of great feedback. I see every day there is wonderful feedback.
I actually get more feedback than what you see. My reviews are still not into although they're going into double figures now, they're still not into double figures, but I get more through Facebook and Messenger as well, because a lot of my ladies are older ladies, and they will buy the books from me or from Amazon, the ones that buy them from Amazon use Amazon, so they know how to do the reviews. But the ones that get them directly from me don't necessarily know how to do the reviews or can review. So that's why I've sold a lot more books than I have reviews. But I'm not the only one who suffers with the reviews like that. But I am trying to build up. We are basically, we're getting there with the reviews. But with that first set of 3, the ladies, they want a number 4. They want a different ending to what I've given them.
Oh, wow.
You've got to, you need to read the stories for it to all make sense, but in the end it just says she got it wrong.
Oh, wow. So I totally get that though, because readers they commit to the story, and they have likable characters, and maybe they picture the story is in their heads to go a certain way, and then, but it's good that you went, a way that they didn't expect. That's your job as a writer, to for them to go, oh my gosh, I don't like this.
Who in real life doesn't make a mistake and doesn't get it wrong? Because I know I do.
Yeah, well, no, that's true.
So that's why I finished it the way I did.
Well, I wouldn't exactly say that you got it wrong. Let's say that maybe it just took a little bit of a detour, and then you're gonna and then bring it around. But that's what stories are all about, right? Because if you kept one straight path on the story, maybe it would be a little, you shook your readers up. And I think that's
very much so with that one.
Yeah. So I think that's your job as an author, to shake up the readers, especially when you have multiple books and the story is ongoing. You want to, keep, because now look, they're asking for another book. They're asking for more of a story because, they want what they want. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's everybody's dream.
That is the one where I have mapped it out a little bit of where I want it to go, and where I have a plan in my head that will have to wait because I've got these are the ones that need to be finished first.
Right.
Put them to bed first.
I think that's so exciting. And I told you also with the book, the book that I have of yours, I don't want to get the title wrong. What's the title?
You had Balance and Retribution.
Yes.
Book 1.
Thank you. So now I think I did tell you it was the very first page that I was reading, because I had never read your work before, so I didn't know what to expect. So I read at night. I said, okay, let me get ready and read this book. And I read at night, and the first page, I got scared. I was like, oh my God, I gotta put the light on, because it was dark and it was scary. But the way you described the scene, and I don't want to give away too much, so I can't say a certain thing, but just the way you described everything, it really scared me. So, and although you don't write horror, you do write paranormal, romance, fantasy. I mean, I guess, can you kind of say horror or no? Do you think
I don't know whether you would call it horror or it's dark.
Yeah, well, it scared me, the first page, which I thought was great. I just totally did not expect it. So when you read a book, it's different when you're watching a movie and everything's being acted out and you visually see it. So when you're reading a book and you're reading the words and you're picturing it, and you picture it the way the writer is writing it, and hopefully they're painting you that picture that gives you nice visuals inside of your head. And you definitely did that. So kudos to you.
Good.
Because
thank you.
Great.
I would like to stir up emotions. That's the whole point.
Yeah. Well, you did. You stirred up my emotions with fear. So that was really great because it was unexpected. So, and that was a fantastic book.
You don't expect it to be scary when you say romance, do you really?
No, you don't. Well, you see, that's the thing. And then, the cover, the couple is there, and you do see the eyes, so that looks menacing. It looks like, somebody's looking over them or somebody's lurking or something. But it was really good. And that first page really set the tone. And it told me, do not read this book at night. What you do, put the lights on. Put the lights on. Now, tell us about the first thing that you have ever written.
Oh,
even if it's poetry or short stories, it doesn't necessarily have to be a book. Like the first thing that you have that you can recall that you've ever written and said, hey,
the first things I wrote were actual books. I like to read poetry, but I'm not a poet. One of my most favourite poems is, I should have wrote this. Odette, one of the ladies, the spies, one of the British spies, used a poem as a call sign through the war. I should have looked it up beforehand. I did last time. And her husband was killed through the war, and she was actually French. She married a British man, so she could speak French. Odette, her name was. I'm sure it was Odette. And she went and she worked in France as a spy with the resistance, and she had a specific Carve Her Name with Pride is the movie they made about her, but I can't think of her full name now.
What's the name? Tell me the name.
The poem is beautiful.
What's the name of the movie?
Carve Her Name with Pride. And now I need my passcode for my. I'm going to look her up now because it's going to bug me if I don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That doesn't say.
All right, while you do that, I'm just going to share our interview while you do that.
Yeah. There's the movie, but it doesn't tell me who. It doesn't tell me.
Okay.
Oh, Violette. Sorry, not Odette. Violette. Violette Sasbo.
Oh, okay.
She was a secret agent in occupied France during World War, and they used what poem did they use? Oh, I didn't know. I should know it because I can see some of the words in. Oh, I don't want the movie. It's taking me to the movie.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
But no, I do like poetry, but it's not something I can write. I tend to write the way I speak, and I use too many words. So a novel's better for me.
I write when I speak too, yeah. But
yeah, I use a lot of words when I'm saying anything. I know I do. Maybe I go all the way around the bush to get to the point. So it was always stories, and I actually do still have those stories, same as the One Constant Colours. I have them.
No written yet. Yes.
No, Violette Sasbo, I found her. Yeah. It's all right. Nick's just telling he's been looking for it as well for me.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, he's very supportive, right? He's very supportive.
He is, yes.
That's really important.
Yes.
That is important.
It is, especially when I've been laid up poorly as well.
So now, when you have your stories and you make your notes, do you handwrite everything, or do you type like directly into the laptop or the computer? How does that work?
I use an iPad, and I used to write it all on paper, but I found I was carrying too much around with me all the time. I just put it all on the pad now. It's so much easier.
Right.
And it's I've got everything all in one spot as well. And if I come up with an idea that doesn't want to be, is not necessarily for that book or for something else, I can just flick off, put it down on a fresh piece and go back. I've got bits that just says odds and ends of phrases and words that I feel I can use, that I like, so that I don't forget and I can pick them up later.
Right. Do you sometimes make a note and then say, oh, what did that mean? Or what was that again? Because, like if it's fresh in your head and you write it and you know exactly where it's going or who is going to say it or what the scene is going to be. And then when you look back, you go, oh, what was that? What did it mean again? Does that ever happen to you?
I do. I do make notes as well. I've got scraps, bits of. But it all looks like a spider's crawled all over it. Always, if I do it by hand, I'm not very neat.
Yeah, you know what it is when your brain. When your brain is thinking so fast.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to write as fast as your brain is thinking because you don't want to lose that feeling, and then it's just so sloppy because you have to write it so fast. And that's another reason why, right? That you might go, oh, what was that? Because now I can't even read what I wrote. But it's important. Yeah. It's really important to make notes. So now, do all your books have covers? But,
Yeah.
every book has a cover. And who does do you do your own cover, or no, you get someone else to do?
No, it's a lady who helps me with the actual editing and everything as well, Sharon Brownlee, her name is. She has Aspire book covers, and she does those with me, and we've built up a relationship now, and she knows what I like and what I don't like, and we are trying to be consistent with like the font for the writing as well, although there is a slight difference in them because sometimes the name won't fit, so it's got to be slightly different if it's more than a word or two. But it's pretty much, the font is pretty much the same. I don't know whether you can see that.
Oh yeah, that's a clear picture.
So I use so that it's pretty much the same, so that there's follow through and it's consistent, and you can see from a distance it's mine.
Yeah, they're very nice covers. Do you display your books at home on a bookshelf?
I do, yeah. I've bought some I've got them on the floor here as well, because obviously 13's a lot of space. But I also have in the front room, my oldest son came the other week and said, Mum, you do realise most people have photographs of the family in the front room, not book covers. I have both. I have my family on one wall, but my husband has upcycled a lot of frames and bought frames for me, and we've got not quite all of them yet because I'm running out of wall space. But he's put them in frames for me, and they do look beautiful. Like, not unlike my Valentine's card, which went on Facebook yesterday in a frame as well.
Oh
yeah, poster that he did for me.
I love that. That was so nice.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when you need more wall space, you'll have to move to a bigger house.
Yes.
If you have 13 books now in a course of 2 years, in another 2 years you could have really another like double.
Yeah.
So writing.
I have learned. Obviously, I can see the difference now between the original ones that I did first. Listen was the first one I published, although the Pledge series was the first ones I wrote, but they were all on paper. With Listen just being one on its own at the time, now it's 4, I published that first. So, yeah, and I lost all train of thought there.
Oh, you were going to say, I got it. You were going to say that there's a difference in books, maybe that you could tell the difference from when you first.
Yeah, it's my editing skills myself. It needs less and less each time. As I've said, I know now that I speak too much. So I'm trying to cut that back as well in my writing. I'm trying to consider more. Sharon will lead me and guide me, and she'll say, I was an ellipse junkie, but not no more.
Well, I think that's
she said I used it too much.
I think that's fantastic, though, because the first book, especially since you do the editing yourself, the first book is something to be proud of. And as you progress and as you write more books and you have a fan base, which I think is fantastic, and they can see, anyone, I guess, who reads your books can see where you began and where you are now. And even the most famous writers, from where they started, and they even say it themselves, from where they started and where they are today. It's just, it's a journey, and there's always something new to learn. There's always, a different way to approach something. And I think it's really exciting, and it's really great that you have 13 books and you can go back to your first book and say, well, and then as things changed, as they went along as you went along the way and wrote, I think it's really fantastic. Now, when did you say to yourself, I'm going to write a book? Like when did you actually know that you wanted to write a book to share with the world, for people to read your stories?
When, what we're in 2021 now, so maybe 2018 was when I decided I would share it.
Wow, that's a big step.
But between 2015 was when so Nick's talking to me as well. 2015 was when I actually hand wrote one, but that took a good couple of years to hand write. a book that is now 3 books. So it was, I thought, now we'll have a go. I was talking to another author, Ditta Kellen. She was writing erotica. She's no longer doing, or romance. She's no longer doing that. She has gone more into the thriller side. But I was taking advice from her, and she was brilliant. And there was another lady, Siobhan, a lady who lives in Ireland, that was talking to me at the time as well. And she said she used draft to digital, and that's very hard to say.
A tongue twister. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah. So I used draft to digital, and that's what I did. And I only did listen as an ebook to start off with. Hence the reason it had a new cover, because it did originally have a different cover. But that was just somebody that did the cover was just off the internet that I found. And when I decided to make it into a series and do more, when the second one came along, obviously there had to be some consistency with the actual stories, but also I needed the wraparound cover for the actual paperbacks, because I always wanted a book. So I then, although I loved the original cover, could not do that one anymore, and I wanted somebody that would do, and that's when I found Sharon.
Right.
And we did that as well. So, but yeah.
So that was 2015 was.
I wrote.
You wrote. That's when you decided to write, and then you got the cover for that first book online, and you had the book was bound and mailed to you. Like, how did that work? I know you didn't release the work till 2018 for people to see, but talk us through that process a little bit, because that's interesting.
Well, the original one I just did as an ebook, so there was none of that. And then when I spoke to Sharon and asked her to do me more of the ebook covers, and she said she talked me through the process. In fact, one day I was talking to her on Messenger, not knowing how to use Messenger at the time properly, and I'm tapping away doing other things in the process because I was in the kitchen at the same time, and I must have called her. I hit call. So she was talking to me, this Scottish lady was talking to me down the phone. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you, but yeah, I know who you are. But so then we discussed doing my book, my ebook, as an actual paperback, and obviously she helped me then with the files and putting it into the PDF, ready to do it, and the editing for it and what have you. And we've just gone from there. She's pretty much led me through. I put them, now I use Amazon, obviously for the paperbacks, and I've always put them on there myself, but I've also I've stopped using draft for digital for the Amazon Kindle. I still use draft for digital for iBooks, Apple, and all the rest, Barnes and Noble and all the rest of them. But I think actually they've stopped doing them. But anyway, I went to using Amazon and directly rather than going through draft to digital. It was taking a lot of time, and I may as well, because I'm doing the paperback, I may as well attempt and did that myself. And so now they're linked as they should be, because I've started doing them both through there. So,
all right.
But I don't use KU.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not a lot of people don't. I mean, a lot of people do. I do, but a lot of people don't. So
it's not something I've ever done. And because I originally started using draft to digital, and they allow you to use all the platforms. If I use KU, then I wouldn't be able to put them on all the platforms. Now, I've not sold a lot through the platforms altogether. I've only sold maybe now 110 ebooks. It's not a lot, but I sell more books.
Well,
I sold a lot more books.
If you do go through KU, you just cannot put your ebooks
on the rest.
But you can sell your paperbacks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that you can do. So it's not for everybody. A lot of people don't like that, and it's 90 days. So, but for me, I like it. It works. I was just new to everything, and I didn't know a lot of people that wrote. I really didn't know anybody that wrote, to tell you the truth.
At the time, I didn't know anybody that used KU. It was all new to. I never used it, and the circles that people that I knew didn't use it, and some of the ladies that bought my ebook originally only used iBooks because they had the Apple stuff. So
Right,
if
right.
I'd have gone directly to KU, they wouldn't have. And they're the ones that were the bread and butter that started the ball rolling. So although I don't do a lot,
Yeah,
they were the ones I wanted to keep.
they were, yeah, sure, exactly. They were the ones that were reading the books, so you want to make it accessible to them. So yeah,
Yeah.
going with KU. But it's to each his own. Not everybody does their own thing, and I don't know any better. Like I haven't tried anything else. So you know what I mean? I'm just so used to KU. I did my first, I did my second. So let me ask you this: when you wrote your first book and you had your beginning, your middle, and then you wrote your end, the finale, how did you feel? Like, did you get like a feeling, or did you just go, whew, thank God that's over? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how did you?
When I finished it, when I got it all done and I'm looking at it, that you want, it is relief, and it's like, wow. And then you go back and you read it and you look and you read it and you reread it, and it's like, wow, I've done it again, I've done it. But then when you hold it in the paperback as well, that's
What a feeling, right?
Yeah, you've achieved something. It's there, and it's there for however long it can be printed for. It's not just going to go away, is it? It's
No.
your name's in print.
Yeah, the story's there forever, and people read it, and yeah, it's really amazing. And then in 2018, what made you say to yourself, you know what? I'm ready for people to read these books. What was that? How did that work?
Oh, I'm a publican, or I was a licensee. I had pubs, so although it's not along the same lines, but you are in the limelight, you are in front of people, you do get used to talking to people, and they know all about your lives and you, no matter what, even if it's away with the fairies and or not truths like that, they still feel. So the fact that I was putting myself out there and allowing somebody in to know me through my writing wasn't so much of an issue, because that I'd always, I'm used to that. I'm used to people knowing who I am, and you're the landlady of so-and-so pub and this, that and the other. But to see it in print and to do it was, well, you know yourself, they're yours, they're your, you've put all those words together, you've put that story in there. Yeah, it's strange to know people that you know are reading that, but yes. It's also, I found that a lot of my ladies, my readers, are enthralled, but like, wow, you've written this, Jo. Yeah, I have. As you know.
It's a great story. It leaves you, though, in such a vulnerable position, though, when you do release your book for the world to see. Do you remember your first review ever? Or no?
It was for Listen, and it was another lady author, I think, Katie, an American lady author, and I can't think, Katie Salvo. She's still on my Facebook, and she's an editor now, I think, as well as being a writer.
Oh, okay.
She, whoever she was published by, because she had a publisher, approached her to be an editor. I was talking to her a few weeks back, but it wasn't her normal genre, so to get a review off of her was really good. But I also feel that some authors, I don't want to dish anybody down. I wouldn't give, even if I thought it was not, just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's bad.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about, yeah. And you know.
So I would never have said anything bad about anybody else's anyway. So it's a case of, I sometimes sit back and think, now maybe it wasn't. It was nice to get a good review, and they are good reviews. But when it's another author, you often think, are they just being nice, or did they actually enjoy it? But it's the way things are worded. If you read it correctly, then you'll know whether they actually enjoyed it or not.
Right. Well, I think as an indie author who reads someone's work, as opposed to a reader that doesn't write, another author knows everything that has gone into that book. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the time, the emotion. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think also, you know, when other authors write reviews, they tend to take other things also into consideration.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So, I mean,
Yeah.
the story though is this, you know, the story that I read, I'm sure they're all fantastic because like I said, you get fantastic feedback online. I see it all the time. People love your stories. But maybe as writers, we bring more into the picture than a reader does that doesn't
Yeah.
write. If that makes,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
that makes any sense, because I mean, it's a lot of work. And not just that it's a lot of work, but you know, the person that has put these words on the page has put so much into it. And, you know, you admire that, you know what I mean? Because you know what it
Yeah.
involves and you know what it
Yeah.
entails. So, but I do understand what you're saying. So now when you get new reviews, as you release books and you get new reviews, like how do you keep track of your reviews? Do you
I check them every day.
every day? So when you see the number, let's say Amazon, and Amazon says, you know, let's say, oh, 35 reviews. So if you check back the next day and you see that number's changed to 36, you get like really excited and say, oh, I gotta find that review. Who wrote that review? Is it still like
I'm still at the point where there are so few reviews though. I can tell I know who's written them because I interact with so many people now.
You interact with your readers?
Yeah, I've always done that, and I will always do that because they're investing in me. I need to invest in them and talk to them. And it's nice, especially when everybody's stuck in. I have ladies that are at home on their own looking after their kids, and there is no other half in the house. So they're got children to talk to 24/7. So talk to an adult is nice. Even if it is about books, it's still there. Well, it's still nice.
That's a great topic, books and stories, and especially now, I think everybody reading is a good pastime right now because it's a wonderful escape, and it's good for your brain, and it's good for your mind, and it's good for your soul. So this is a really good time to read books. So would you say then, since basically you know your readers and you know who are leaving the reviews, do you write comments? Do you, like, how do you feel about that? Say you didn't know who your readers were and someone wrote a review. Do you feel like, I've read two different things. I've read, like you said, the reader is investing in me, not only money, but their time. And I've also read that some writers say, well, I don't feel that there should be that back and forth with the reviewer because sometimes maybe they don't agree on certain things. You know what I mean?
I suppose it depends how many reviews you've got. If you've gotten to the extent where you're in triple figures and to try and keep up with everybody is going to be too extensive.
Yeah, that would be kind of hard. That would be very hard, actually.
When there's just a few, or the loyal fans that are continuously reading your work, I can't see any harm in interacting with them. They are like a signed copy. They love a signed copy. They like to feel that you've personalized that just for them. It's the personal touch that matters to people.
And you have personalized it when you do send out your signed copies. Did you ever have the opportunity, or did you ever think about going out in public and having a book signing? Have you done that in the past, or?
I haven't done that yet. It was on the cards, but then COVID hit.
Oh.
So it's not something that I've done yet. I have a contact with WH Smith's. I was considering doing that. But for me as an indie author, for me to put them on their shelves, this is public, so I'm being careful and tactful.
Oh, okay.
The percentage, it's sale or return, and the percentage is very high.
Oh wow! And then just to get to meet other readers though, and that's something I guess a lot of authors dream about doing, having that.
Yeah, it still depends on whether the book signing is going to go. There are other ways you can do a book signing without going through the big companies that and more for the more traditionally published persons.
Well, what about like the library, the local library?
Yeah,
Did you ever
if you have
consider?
one, we have a
Yeah.
library down. We're rural.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that makes it kind of hard. I have a library not far, and I know there used to be book signings there. Authors had come to speak, and I went, to see them because I thought it was really interesting. There was a high school teacher that wrote a book. So
Yeah.
he came to the library and he spoke, and that was, before I wrote my book. But that was really interesting. So a library is an option. How about a park, like when the weather's nice? Would you ever consider like going?
I would do anything and everything. We have moved and we don't have a local shop now. It's very different where we are here. Where I was previously, there was a local shop, and I would give cards out and I would tell them all, and I'd tell the staff, and they actually bought my books and they actually enjoyed them.
Wow.
I would have done.
That's great marketing.
Yeah,
I
tell everybody and anybody. For me to write under a pseudonym wouldn't work because I'd tell everybody anyway.
I'm Jane Doe. I'm actually Josephine Wrightson, but I go by Jane Doe.
I'm proud of what I've done. So
yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
It should be.
It might not be everybody's cup of tea, and I don't want to ram it down anybody's throats, but I'm proud of what I do, and if you're interested, I'll tell you.
Right, yeah. You don't mince any words, that's for sure. Well, that's fantastic. I think that's great. We have to self-promote. You have to promote yourself. You have to promote your stories that you write. You have to promote your books. So now, along this whole indie journey, was there anything that you did in the beginning that you don't do now? Like, what did you learn along the way?
A lot, mostly the editing side, mostly grammar. I've never been particularly brilliant at grammar, but I'm getting better. I've never been poor either. I was sort of, and I knew, but it's knowing and putting it into practice are two different things, especially when you're blip age.
Well, I think as long as you have a story to tell, that is probably the most important thing, right? Just getting that story out. And because sometimes readers will, they'll allow certain things to pass because the story is so interesting.
Yeah.
It was so involved.
It is a lot better. Grammatically, they are getting better. But I listen with my pad. When I come to, I will write it, I will read it, I will go through and edit it. The more I do, like with everything, the better you get. I'm finding less mistakes each time because I'm correcting them although I'm writing and I'm non-stop to get down what's in my head before I forget or before it changes, I'm actually writing it more consistently correct first time round. So I'm having to edit a lot less. But at the end of it, I will listen to it. It's very monotone because it's my pad. And although it's the lady, she doesn't have a very enthusiastic voice. So it is very monotone, but it allows me to listen to how it would read to somebody else, because like Beth was saying, you get very, it's like being snowblind.
Yes.
To the words, because your brain's telling you what's there, but actually it's not there. You've missed the odd letter or the odd word.
You're not seeing it with your eyes, but your brain is reading it, right?
Yeah, because you know what it says. My daughter is brilliant. She's autistic, and she can read. But that's the way she knows what that sentence is saying just from one or two words.
Oh, wow.
Because she's put the sentence together in her mind before she's actually read it.
Right. So you mean with a story of yours?
No, no, oh no.
Oh,
She's only
well,
12.
Oh, well, I didn't mean it like that. I thought you were saying because your daughter's so smart that
It is. She can.
she
She can
fills
read
in the
quite
gaps.
easily. Yeah, but
That
she will. That's what you do as a writer. That's why you should. If we listen to it or read it aloud, it entitles you to be able to see what you have missed, what your brain's putting in there.
Right. And
So
sometimes the way we read it in our head, even if all the words are there, but when we read in our head and then we read it out loud, like, do you ever read from your book online?
I always send myself one, and I always have a sample from
But
on
do you ever
on the.
do you ever go on your page and maybe read a little bit of a chapter?
Oh no, not yet.
So,
I've considered it, but haven't yet. I think my voice sounds awful. I need somebody with a deeper
oh
voice.
no, you should read. You should definitely read. First of all, I think it's good content. Second of all, I think it's a good way for people to get interested that are not familiar with your stories. I think that's
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think you should do it. And
I have seen that other people will read a little bit. In fact, there's a local lady who does some sort of dance lessons, and she said when they resume, because obviously they're not on at the moment, I have a group of ladies. Do you fancy coming and reading a bit for me? I said, well, it depends on what those ladies are like, doesn't it, really?
You'll have to pick and choose your parts very carefully.
Yeah.
And you see, as an American with an American accent, I love your accent. So to hear someone with an accent different than mine read from their book, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a very lovely accent. I think it's
Although I have spoken to people from America. I've been to America. Nick lived there for a lot of years. Yours is the first accent of yours in New York.
Yes.
That I've heard. You're the first one that I've actually physically heard.
Oh, really?
It's very different, yeah.
Oh, wow. It is different because people in different states, we can tell, even though we're in this country, different states, speak differently. They have accents to us, also sometimes like a Southern accent, but yes, I do. I have a New York accent, but I still read from my book. Because I think it's a lot of fun. And another author, a German author, told me, we were doing a Zoom meeting, and she said, oh, I mean, I guess she must have read my book, because she said, oh, you write like you speak, or you speak like you write. And then I was like, oh, thank you. And then after I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, was that a compliment? Maybe that wasn't even more like an insult. You write like you speak, or you speak like you read. But I try to relate to people. But I think you should do that. I think that would be great. I mean, I would listen. I'm sure a lot of people would listen if you read a little bit from your book. I think that would be so interesting. So yeah, I think you should try it. And you know what too? It'll get you in practice for when you're going to read to the ladies. At the school, and you can like highlight the certain parts or take out the naughty bits to fill in other words.
Don't want to be giving anybody heart attacks, do I? Let's see what age their group they are first.
do a PG version, or fill in the blanks with other things.
I don't think I could write a PG version. I love the idea that Beth's done a young adult and a adult version, but I like mine the way I like the way I write.
Believe me, I'm not telling you to change your story at all.
It's fine.
I'm just saying to, for the ladies, maybe like, change, like do some cute little wordplay or something, maybe that they would find, I don't know, amusing or something like that. So if
I tend to, on my Facebook page, that's why I have the Not Tonight Josephine page. I share more on there than I do on the normal page. My father's on the normal page.
Oh, so he doesn't get the juicy stuff.
No, I've told him he can't read it. Same as my husband. I'm not allowing him to read it either.
Oh, that's so funny. That was very smart, though, creating a different page. I think that was
I tend to, I can give if I want some help, like with a name or with the way something reads, rather than making it public for everybody to see, and before the book comes out, I do it on my private group so that they can give me their input
Right,
as
right.
well. And I don't necessarily need, my plots are all there and they work out. That's fine. I can do that. It's all the little bits and this, that, and the other, but it actually engages the people more. It engages the readers, and I like to do that. But I don't want to engage the whole world.
Right.
Just that few.
I can understand that. So where else can everybody find you? So obviously you're on Facebook. Where else are you? I'm going to post your links after this interview. But where else can we find you?
Facebook, Twitter, Facebook. I'm Goodreads. I'm also on All Author as well, where your cover was. Very well done with that, actually. You got further than I did with mine.
It was fun. It's, you know what it is, you have to constantly like promote. It's kind of like the Dancing. Do you have Dancing with the Stars in England?
Something similar.
Or something similar to that.
Yeah.
So that's all about voting and getting your friends to vote. And so that, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about All Author, but you have to like keep on, you know what I mean? Like some people go the extra, like all of a sudden you go on All Author one day and the #1 cover has like over 1,000 votes, because they're really like spending a lot of time and saying, hey, will you pass this link to your brother? Or will you pass this link to your sister? You know what I mean? Because it's, I mean, it's a lot of votes, but I love All Author. The whole process, everything about it was fun. You know what I mean? So it's nice to have your book up, and then they send you, you know, little mock-up things. Did you ever get those? You could put your book in like.
Yes, I've used those.
Yeah, around the holiday, right? And they're free. I am thinking about upgrading, because I mean, I do like All Author, and they did the right thing by me. They put my books up twice, my 2 different covers. But that was fun, the little things they send. So
the little mock-up things. I've taken books off and put books on as well.
Yes. So because you have so many books, you can switch. Yeah. I like that.
But I like All Author. It's a good. I've had that. That's something that I've used all along, but I'm still. I tend to concentrate mainly on Facebook. Facebook's what works for me. I am actually at the moment building a website, though. She says, I'm trying. Very difficult without an internet. So
I can imagine. I mean, how do you do that? And it's very involved.
Don't, do you really?
You don't. And it's very involved. Having a website is really involved, right?
Well, I tried Story Origin. I'm on there as well, with MailChimp as the email to use with the Story Origin, but I'm struggling with that to move around it and to know what's what with it and everything. So I thought, if I'm going to struggle, I may as well struggle with a website that's mine.
Exactly.
So I've been trying to work on that the last few days and what have you, but because the internet's gone down, it's on hold at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you want to rush anyway.
Yeah, no, you have to take your time with that. It's very important. It's one of the first things that people see, right, when they sign up, when they click on your website, because that's one of the first things that a lot of the authors offer, come to my website. But I do look forward to seeing your website, and this was such a wonderful chat. I'm so glad I got to know you better and learn more about your books and your process, because we are friends on Facebook and we speak, but this was like really, other than the few minutes yesterday, this was the first time that we actually got to speak face to face. And
it is, yes. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Me too. I really enjoyed it. Oh, it was a little bit of a struggle with yesterday and then today, but we finally got this interview done, and I'm so glad. And it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we made this connection.
Thank you.
I think you're a wonderful author and person, and I look forward to seeing everything and reading more of your books.
Thank you.
Check out Josephine's books.
Thank you, and I'm reading yours. I've just the last couple of days have been everything's gone on hold, but I've managed to get down I've read Tears's, I've done Another Lady's, I've got one of Poets to read and then I've got Beth to read, but they're on my to be read list, and I'm getting through them slowly.
Well, very exciting, and those are more reviews, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So keep on writing, and we look forward to book 14. When can we expect that next book out?
Not for a couple of months.
All right, maybe like
steady with this one.
Before summer, maybe.
Maybe a summer book. Yeah, summer book, early summer.
Exciting. All right, great. So we'll have to get together again to discuss your next book, book number 14.
Yeah.
Right? Sound good?
Yes.
All right, great. Great. Well, I will see you online and around social media. Thank you so much for joining me today, Josephine. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about you. All right. Have a great evening, because it's now it's 9 o'clock. Right?
It is.
It's 9 o'clock where you are, and it is only 4 o'clock by me. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, okay?
And the same to you.
Thank you, Josephine. All right, take care now.
Thanks, Stefanie.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.